Hello to day 16. Welcome back to the returning viewers and a warm welcome to any new viewers or subscribers. Thank you for joining me on my journey for self-development and diary documentation of that, and hopefully there will be some tips and hints in here, some tools and techniques that you can actually use in your own personal life. I'm Tanya, I'm 52, live on the east coast of Scotland, and today's topic is something that I have been sort of avoiding doing yesterday, and today it's about just get on and do it, face my fear, and it is about low self-esteem. So I'm breaking up the topic of low self-esteem and burnout into two separate diary vlogs, and I totally appreciate these topics are absolutely huge, and they've got such an emotional connection for most people. I mean, most of us have experienced low self-esteem at one point or another in our lives, and whether we're willing to share and be vulnerable with people or not, or in some instances we just might be blind to it, because I was for a very long time. It's only in the past 18 months, as part of the kind of deeper self-reflection journey that I've been on, that I've come to recognize that a lot of my behaviors and patterns that I was actually doing were totally underpinned because I had that self-low worth and esteem of myself. Even though externally I was a confident, bubbly, energetic person, but that probably was more connected to the fact that I was also a high functioning codependent, which is a terminology referred to for people that are people pleasers, overgivers, stepping into other people's business where they're trying to fix other people's problems, because it takes them away from having to deal with the challenges and issues that they're even blind in themselves, that you can't even see it. So it has been a tough topic for me to sort of like get in front of camera and talk about. This is my third attempt of trying to record this, because I have felt that kind of emotion starting to rise up, and I want to be able to add value and give you some sort of context of what potentially you can actually do, so you don't go through the pain and suffering that I did for so many years. And even now, me sort of like reflecting back, there's definitely emotion associated with it. And there is a quote that Marissa Peer has used, and I'm just going to read it out so I can get it absolutely spot on. The feeling that cannot find its expression in tears may cause other organs to weep. And this is where she's sort of taken it from Henry Maudsley, who was a psychiatrist, and she refers to it. And this is emotion that is being suppressed, and that suppression eventually has to come up to the surface somehow, because it needs a release, it needs to be heard, it needs to be acknowledged, it needs to be accepted, and that articulation of it can prove challenging at times. As human beings, we have an absolute like human wiring that is to avoid pain and seek pleasure, and it's something that Sigmund Freud came up with, and I've just created a very kind of basic diagram to sort of show. And a lot of the stuff that we do to avoid the pain is behaviours and patterns and actions that we're taking that are counterintuitive, that actually end up giving us pleasure in the short term but end up backfiring and giving us a lot of pain in the long term. And this is where what I was doing in my life between the ages of 35 and 39 was I was numbing, I was disassociating from the pain and the discomfort that I was actually feeling, and I was binge drinking, I was binge eating, I was trying to overgive and problem solve for other people, go over above in work, so everything else became an external focus. I was extremely busy. I was extremely high functioning, and there is a terminology, high functioning codependency, which is something that I totally resonate, that those are patterns of behaviour that I demonstrated throughout my entire life. And luckily for me, I actually found Marissa Peer and I transformed my life in such a profound way in such a short period of time. So within the space of reading her book of I Am Enough, which I can't recommend enough, this book here. It's just a small book, but it's got exercises in it, and I've sort of like highlighted and done all the exercises. I literally did it in over a weekend, and I realised that the root cause of why my patterns and behaviours over the years just didn't make any logical sense, and it's because logic always loses when it's in battle with emotion and feelings. And what I had been doing my entire life was suppress those feelings, and I was trying to ignore them, run away from them, and in so doing I was blind to them even existing, because it was much easier. It was getting me to that pleasure in the short term, but in actual fact I was kept in pain for a much longer period than what was actually necessary. So within the 18 months that I've done my training within rapid transformational therapy, which is hypnotherapy on steroids, there's lots of tools and techniques embedded within it where you can rewire your subconscious mind to then get to a more a more positive, a more empowering and encouraging set of beliefs and thoughts that then run the show, rather than having that negative kind of self-belief. So externally, I appeared that I was confident, I was bubbly, I was social, I had a lot of stuff going on in my life, and everyone in my life thought I was strong and I was resilient. I was the go-to person when there was a problem to be fixed or anyone was seeking any advice, whether it was from a personal kind of perspective or whether it was finances or whatever it might have been. And I didn't, being high functioning codependent, I didn't want to let people down, and it was getting me to the pleasure. I was getting the pleasure of helping people, so that made me feel good about myself, but in so doing I was overgiving, I was people pleasing, I was overstepping, and I wasn't taking care of me. So my kind of coping strategies back then was over drinking, overeating, so binge eating, binge drinking, to the point where I ended up putting on a lot of weight. I gained a lot of weight, and my sleep was disrupted because I wasn't comfortable. I wasn't comfortable in my clothes. I was starting to feel my kind of self-chatter was always critical when it came to me. I was always kind and compassionate to other people, but I was very negative and critical to myself. And what had actually happened was that kind of criticality had just created this overthinking, rumination that was going on, and I just felt that I was in that kind of negative spiral, that I felt really, really low in my own kind of belief in myself. I was confident in my abilities to do my job, but I wasn't confident on succeeding in life. I thought I was broken and I needed fixing. And this is where the kind of behaviours that I was actually doing weren't they were counterproductive. They were actually holding me back, and I can see that now. And emotionally, that's hard for me to be open and honest and share, because there was a lot of shame associated with the kind of binge eating, and particularly because the binge drinking, I was doing it in front of everyone. We were having a party and a great time, but the binge eating was something that I was doing in secret on my own, and it was to just disassociate from my feelings, because I spent a lot of my time on my own. And even though I do love spending time on my own, when you're in that negative kind of headspace, it's not the kind of best place, the environment to be. And then the other thing that I ended up doing was, as a result of, I was trying to escape. So then I was wanting to go traveling. It was almost as if I went to a different location, all the stuff that I felt that I was trying to avoid, all that pain and suffering, wasn't going to come with me. When in actual fact, it was all in here. So there was no way that I could actually escape it. And that fear of opening Pandora's box and actually like figuring out what I actually was feeling, because everything got so suppressed. I didn't have words other than, it's not great, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling low. There wasn't words in my vocabulary to be able to articulate it. And in the past 18 months, I've got so many more words to be able to describe a kind of change in mood and emotion, and the kind of feelings associated with every experience that I'm experiencing. So this topic is something that I'm going to revisit time and time again, because I know that for me, now that I'm starting to do this kind of deeper self-reflection and going back into my past and sort of like, oh, this is why I was doing this. This is the reason why. I don't want to be stuck there. It's about learning the lessons and sharing that experience. So hopefully someone that's watching this can maybe fast track it. And there are solutions to this. So the Marissa Peer book is one where she sort of advocates of putting I am enough, those simple 3 words, I am enough, on mirrors, post-it notes, on any device screensaver, to just keep reminding yourself that we all are enough. We're perfect. We're perfect beings that we're souls that came into these human bodies to have this human experience, and we're all perfect. We can't see our own perfection, but because we're seeking perfectionism, then we sort of judge ourselves against a standard that just doesn't really exist. So FLAWSOME is probably a more apt kind of term, which is we are flawed, but we are also awesome. So we're FLAWSOME. And or another kind of quote is we're imperfectly perfect. So whatever resonates for you. But I want to leave you with some kind of hints and tips. So that I Am Enough book is fantastic, putting the post-it notes and those kind of messages, but also being kind to yourself first, and talk to yourself as if you're talking to a 7-year-old version of yourself or your best friend. Would you say the words that you're saying to yourself to them? The chances are you wouldn't. So why not start saying those more encouraging and empowering words to yourself? And a third one is, when I start each of my videos, I do the wave, but for me it's the high five that I'm actually doing. This is me saying hi to me, to my higher self, me seeing me and acknowledging me. And this is me saying hi to everyone else within the kind of Indian kind of culture and Sanskrit and all that. There is the kind of namaste, which is the divine in me sees the divine in you. But because this isn't a kind of necessarily a spiritual focus of the channel, I felt that the Mel Robbins high five, seeing yourself in the mirror or in the camera or a reflection, is you basically saying, look, I've got you. No matter what's going on today, I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to talk to you with love and compassion and care, and I've got your back. And then the kind of fourth kind of option that people have is to seek professional help, to talk and like deal with your kind of issues via coaching, which is on a conscious kind of level, or delve via different therapies and modalities that you're going into your subconscious. And this isn't me plugging the business at the moment. It's more about me just giving you different kind of alternative options that you may want to pursue. And it's about you sort of like getting to the mindset changes that you need a quicker way that you possibly can. Okay, I'm going to bring it to a close. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. Put down in the comments if you're actually experiencing low self-esteem at the moment, what you're doing. Are you using some other tools and techniques? What lessons have you learned throughout your journey? Is there any support that you actually would like to receive? Because this is me, work in progress, Tanya. I don't have it all figured out, but I'm working through it, and I want to be there to support you as well. So go out and seize the day. Have an awesome day. And remember, in life you have got choices. So always choose wisely. Bye until tomorrow.